Yes, lads, it's your boy Stefan from SPT Systems back with another YouTube video. So, today, what I'm going to be talking about is guys like myself who are classed as big lads. You know, they always call you big lad. You're pretty strong, you've got some muscle, but you've also got a decent amount of body fat covering that muscle so no one can basically see it. And I'm going to be talking about how to get lean and not lose your strength. So, a little bit of background about myself. I've always been a pretty big lad. Some of the stories you mainly have when you're a kid, when I wasn't tall, but I certainly ate more than I should have when I was younger. And that allowed me to be a lot stronger for my age than I should be. So, when I was back in school one time, I remember it was like we're in the playground lining up as you do in your classes. Fuck knows what they do these days with the kids because they're fucking acting out of control. But we were standing up, getting ready to go in, and I was in a line, had a disagreement with someone, and I remember I pushed this kid, and because I was at the back of the line and I pushed him, the whole line went down like dominoes. Always gets brought up. My mum always tells me about that. I think she even had to go into the school as well. Anyway, you get the point I'm saying. So I'm pretty strong. My max lift at my strongest was like 260 squat, 150 bench, 275 deadlift. I know the bench weak as shit compared to my other lifts, but took me a while to get there. I was benching like 4 times a week, different variations. Anyway, I've lost weight a few times, put it back on. First time I did lose a lot of weight when I was big was essentially when I was relatively strong. I hadn't hit those lifts yet, but I decided to do the keto diet because I'd heard loads about it. So obviously it works. The reason why it works is because you're not eating any carbs, or you do have a carb day. You can't literally just go not eating carbs for the rest of your life. It's just not possible. You're eating protein and mainly fat, and they're like more satiating than carbs, so they're going to keep you fuller for longer. But essentially, it's pretty hard to eat what your calorie maintenance is when you're eating a lot of cheeses, fatty meats, chicken, etc. But I lost it all. Then as soon as I started introducing carbs back into my diet, this is when I didn't really know portion control. Well, I did, but I just choose not to follow it. As soon as I started eating them again, put all the weight back on and some more. Anyway, eventually I did lose the weight. I call it the big cut. It's essentially what every power lifter, every strongman, amateur, whatever, naturally strong. So they lean into that, sacrifice aesthetics, and they also they're going to do this cut at the end of the day at some point in their life to lose all the weight and see all the muscle underneath. So I actually did it. I actually followed through with it, and I didn't have as much muscle as I thought, mainly because I was in a deficit for like 45 weeks, lost 36 kilos. So obviously you're not going to maintain your strength and keep a lot of your muscle as well. You are going to lose a bit, but it's pretty easy to gain back if you train right. Anyway, when I lost it, my strength went in the gutter. My squat bench deadlift was nowhere near what it was at my strongest. It was due to how I was training. Now, before, watching people like Chris Jones, back in the day, I'm old 30, and people like that, I always loved volume. I was doing 5 sets on literally everything. Not necessarily with the best form, and definitely not with the best intensity either, because one thing you'll find is people that are strong at squat, bench, deadlift, but they're not only doing those movements, is you do them at the start of the workout and you literally use all of your energy at the start of the workout, and then everything else, all the other exercises just seem like a chore. So I used to utilize 2 different training systems on my compounds up until recently. So first was block periodization. This is essentially starting off moderate weight, high rep, and eventually increasing the weight and decreasing the reps every week. So, for example, squat, you start with 120, 5 sets of 10. Next week, 125 or 130, 5 sets of 8. The week after that, 140, 4 sets of 6. You get what I mean? And you do that up until you get to a 1 rep max. I'm going to put the little diagram on the screen of what the rep ranges are for each week. So that was good. The only problem with that is when you're in a surplus, yeah, completely doable. You're going to be sore either way, but very, very hard to progress more than once. That normally takes about 10 to 12 weeks to do. But after the first time, you go back to the 5 sets of 10 again, you're just not going to be able to handle the fatigue for most people anyway, because you're in a deficit. When you're in a surplus, it's fine because you've got excess calories, you're hitting your protein, you're recovering well. So that's the first problem. Another system I used was top set, back off set. Now, kind of two variations of this. So there's the top set, back off set with one back off, and there's one with two back offs. The one with two back offs is what I'm going to be talking about in what you shouldn't really do. So this is essentially where you do a top set of, let's say, 5. Let's say you do 180 squat for 5, and your back off sets are a lighter weight with more reps. So 2 sets of 8 on 140, let's say. So this is good, but again, the problem I had with these two different methods is I was absolutely obsessed with the weight I'd get on the top set and the back off set. And obviously, with the block periodization where you're doing 5 sets, I wanted the weight to be the same. I wanted to do, 120 for 5 sets of 10 for literally 5 sets and not drop the weight. The only problem with this is you come a bit obsessed with the numbers. So if you are feeling that you're weaker one week and you don't get it, you do 4 sets and you have to drop the weight. What I thought in my head was, okay, I need to eat more to recover better so I can essentially, get the right amount of reps on each set. But this is a bad mindset to have because you're essentially just going to be overeating, not even hitting your macros, just eating way more than you should. Now, I've kind of solved this because when you're trying to do that in a surplus, you're eventually going to overtrain, get too fatigued. You're not going to be able to keep up with the training because you can't hit the numbers. You're not going to have any motivation, and you're going to be less disciplined. And essentially, you're probably going to call the cut earlier than you should have and say, okay, I need to go into a little mini bulk to get my strength back. The problem with this is it's yo-yo dieting. You're not sticking to a phase long enough to actually yield the results from it. The way I solve this is through intensity. So obviously I've trained intense pretty much my entire lifting career in some aspects. But the way I do it now is, especially on my compounds, I still do top set, back off sets. I'm utilising that, but I'm only doing 1 back off set. Now, this isn't the key to the whole reasoning why I'm doing it. What I'm doing is essentially, for my top set, I'm hitting the number I want to hit, non-negotiable, need to hit that number. If you've been lifting for a while, you're thinking about a number for a while, you're going to hit it. You want to hit it. It's going to make or break your day if you don't hit it. So, for example, when I was in Mexico, I did sets of 5, did that all the way up until 180, my little strength, what's it called? Strength resurgence. After I did my cut, I had pretty low energy for a while, and also I was pretty scared to not lift heavy again because I thought, I've not got this mass behind me, it's just going to snap me in half. Oh my god, I was wrong. Anyway, I'll do my top set, but then the back off set, I'll make sure I do it, but I don't really care what weight I hit on the back off set as long as I do it. Now, the reason this is important is most people train with percentages. They're saying, okay, I need to do this for 80% of my 1 rep max for so many reps. But instead, I now use RPE, which is rated perceived exertion, essentially a fancy way of saying difficulty level between 1 and 10. This essentially still kind of uses percentage, but not on your 1 rep max. It's kind of how you feel on that day. Obviously, I'm still going to try it, even if I don't feel 100%. I'm still going to try and hit that number, but I'm not going to feel bad about it because I understand that you're not going to be able to lift your best every single day. I will do the top set for 5 reps, but then the back off set can be anywhere from like 130 down to 100, or even some days less than 100. That top set, I'm giving my absolute all to now, and I'm not concerning myself with the sets after. Now, this is good for a few reasons. It's good because it's going to help you gain strength and hit the numbers you want to hit, but it's also good as well because you've not got to stress about doing 4 of the sets afterwards to try and hit the number you want to hit. For example, the amount of weight you can do 5 reps with on a bench is completely different to the amount of weight you can do 5 sets of 5 reps on a bench, if you get what I'm saying. So doing that little bit more intensity is actually allowing me to lift almost the same, rep-wise, not 1 rep max. I've not tried that for a while, than when I was at my strongest, but that was also my fattest, 115 kilos. But utilising that and training with more intensity, it's yielding pretty much the same results. My form's a tiny bit better. Obviously, I'm absolutely fucked after the set, but it's fine because I know that's the only top set I'm doing that week. It's kind of going around at the minute, especially with Jeff Nippard's been talking about it and some other people about intensity. But when you're in a deficit, training intense is pretty hard. Only if you're doing like 3+ sets. If you're doing only 1 set, it's not as hard as it is to do for 4, 3, 5 sets. Essentially, what you've got to do is make sure you're doing your training intensely, but if you cut down the volume on those sets, you're going to yield almost the same results. Now, this is especially prevalent if you're a big lad. You've probably built your strength up doing a shit ton of volume, lifting heavy, and then obviously you've lost weight, you've tried to do it, and it's just not gone well. Listen, just don't do as many sets. You can still train hard, you can still train intensely, and it's a hell of a lot easier to do in a deficit. For me personally, I think I've got way more fast twitch fibers than type 2 than type B. So I've never really been good at reps. My reps have never really matched up to my 1 rep max. Since I've adopted this training method, it's a hell of a lot easier. Another aspect of the training as well is the fact I'm doing the full body split. I do not get those mad DOMs you get after a leg day. I haven't had it in like 2 years because I've been doing, instead of smashing my legs on one day, I'll do 1 to 2 exercises of legs per day, 5 days a week. What this does is it cuts down the volume of each session, but not over the week. Full body training split gets so much slack, but it is literally like, on paper, the most efficient training split to do. This has been a key fundamental of how I've been able to regain a lot of my strength back and a much lighter body weight. And it's not just legs. I'm just saying legs because everybody hates leg DOMs. It's for all muscle groups. For example, squats and leg press. I'm not going to be lifting as much if I do squat and leg press on the same day or if I do it on separate days. It's just logic. It's way better for recovery and more important because people watching this have probably got their own lives, maybe got families, busy jobs, mad schedules. It's one of the quickest training sessions you can do and also get an effective workout. The way I structure it is kind of like powerlifting SBD days. Legs, chest, back, shoulders, arms, squat, bench, deadlift and the rest. But this is working exceptionally well for me at the minute. Today, I even did, the day of recording this, I did 172.5 for 7 on squat. I don't think I've ever done that before at any body weight. So, yeah, it fucking works. The most important aspect of what I'm getting at is this works in a deficit. I've been losing body fat, I got in all right shape before Mexico, but then obviously with the missus, the family, I was not expecting to lose any weight, gained a bit back, but I'm back into it now and I'm losing weight rapid again, but it's because I'm using this method. My calories aren't ridiculously low. I've got another video about my calories and shit I'll link you. This is about strictly training, but because I'm in a deficit, normally you're just expecting your strength to go down, but mine isn't at the minute, it's going up. This is exactly what I want to do. And this is exactly why I designed the LSR program, Lean Strength Recomp. It's literally designed for big lads to drop the body fat, maintain or even gain strength so they're strong, people know they lift, and they also look like they lift. If you're interested in getting into shape, I've got over 350 successful transformations of people I know are going to be in the same situation as you. If you think you can't get results, if you are interested, either comment on this video or message me on my Instagram at SPT Systems.